So I took some videos with my camera, but for some reason I don't have the mic working on it at the moment. I wanted to show some of the progress I've made with the 3D printing. So I'll talk over it while I show this. So these are some of the test prints that I did so far. So some of the dimensions is this printed out too much of the body in the wing, so I got to cut that out. I'm pointing that out. And then I printed some of the engine parts out of a different plastic. This is the plastic globe that goes on the front, so you can put a light in it if you wanted to light it up. But so far these are just, like I said, these are test pieces. These are helping me to get the measurements so that I can get the model to print out into the pieces that I need them to print out into. And so they don't really fit together so far yet. There's the two halves of the body. Actually, part of the tail broke off. You can see part of the tail on the starboard side of the hull broke out, and what I'm pointing out there is that it printed too much. It printed an area that wouldn't fit in there. I'd have to cut it and stuff, and I need, but I'm getting closer so that these parts will fit together. You can see the porthole windows there. So I also need to rig it so you can easily fit lights in there better. I'm considering actually holding the sensor holes so you could light those if you want to, because you could always fill them and just paint over them, and maybe making the little areas a little pronounced like they're there, but I could make them a little bigger so they stick out better. You can't really see the ones along the edge too well on the like the bridge module. You can see on the top, but the ones on the edge are just so small on this scale with the blueprinting and stuff. But I'm pretty happy with what I'm learning so far. You can see the port wing over there where it had some of the supports go into it while it was printing, and it kind of screwed it up. And then you can also see how I tried to print it sideways, and that's not really conducive to round parts like the engine part. Didn't come out real good. It came out real didn't have support. That's one of the first hull tops I printed, and the fin and the half thing isn't coming out flat. And then of course my camera cut out on me, so let's X out of that. And let's see, I can go into one of these a little bit. So this is actually showing my machine, the 3D Max. This is where I was printing the whole top I showed, and you can see how many supports I have. I may have too many supports, but I'm still thinking of trying to print it a different way. I think I'm going to print more like, I don't know if I'm going to go per se half. I'm going to print the top part and the bottom part, I think, which would allow you to put lights in, because the lights go into the front part anyway, and or the wires would go up the wings. Okay, let's go a little further up. Let's see. This is one where I'm cleaning and curing it, and I think, whoops. Okay, so that one was real short. I thought it was longer. Maybe it's this one. Okay, so that's the first part where I got it curing in the window by the Star Trek's technical manual chess piece that I was printing. So it's after that. Let's try this one here. So this is where I'm cleaning out the insides where it kind of strung it up with a file. So I get a little further up in here. So cleaning these, there's quite a bit of cleaning process. There we go, that's a little Now see, this is where I'm holding this together, and this is what kind of cracks me up, because this thing seemed to warp as it cured, and I have supports in it. Because right there, that thing, I'm holding it together, and you can see it just looked like it's come together, it fit together really nice. And then see, these parts here bowed as it cured. So I'm going to have to put, if I'm going to try to print it that way, I would have to put reinforcement ribs and stuff along in there to keep that from warping, because that thing, before I UV cured it, as you could see when I had those two pieces, when I was holding those two pieces together like that, that thing was a model. I mean, it was right there. That just, I could have glued that together right there, and then sanded the seam up. I had a few issues though on top. I had an area that in the programming wasn't put together right, so it made a hole right, like where I'm pointing my finger now. It ended up having a hole there, and it also had a little one up on top. So for being the first pieces, these came out pretty good, but I still think, I'm starting to think that it would make more sense to print this top and bottom instead of side to side. But it did impress me how well it fit together side to side until I cured it. And like I said, I don't know if I cured it too long or didn't have the support, or just with the shrinkage, it needs more like cross reinforcement on the areas that I have in the inside. But this would, with the way I ribbed it and stuff, this would be kind of a pain in the ass to put lights in. You could do it, but it would be a pain in the butt. So I need to keep playing with it until I get it into the kind of model I want, where you can definitely put the pieces together and get the lights in. Because I definitely want to be able to light this. You know, like I could print one out that you didn't have to worry about lighting to start with, but I really want to get to where this will be a lighted kit. Let's go out of that. And those are the two pieces that I'm showing in this video right here. And like I said, by the time they cure, they're so warped, they don't, you know, those inners bulged out, and it just took all the alignment right out of that. So I really think the answer's, I'm going to try to go across this way with it, and then I'm separating this engine part. I still think I'm going to print this in 3 or 4 parts, but I'm going to print it to where the wing goes up into it, and so I can print this and the wing separate, and that'll allow me to angle this different, so I can get this piece here to fit into the hole, whether the hole's lengthways or crossways, or whether it's 4 parts. I originally wanted it to be 4 parts, where you put the, you know, or even 3 parts would be fine if you had the whole bottom of the hole and you could light it, and then the 2 halves would fit up in top. But I either have to separate, make the fin separate to go on top, or I need to print. Maybe the answer is I might print the whole top piece, and then print the hull into 2 bottom pieces. You know, I might go 3. So I'm kind of trying to weigh the difference between, like I want to make this a model, so I don't want it to be, the whole thing to be like 5 pieces and it's a model. You know, I'm kind of swinging back and forth into, I could make it a simple model, or I could make it a more challenging model, where you put 20 pieces together. And but to do that, I definitely need to get it to where all the parts and pieces fit, you know, really good. You know, you print this out and everything goes together, the tolerances go together really good. You know, a model. I mean, this isn't like the toys that you print that are just, I've noticed that like the Enterprise and some of the Star Wars models and stuff, they make a solid object, and then they literally just slice them into pieces, and they slice them in the slicer, and then they put punch holes in them, and they make little pegs that you glue together these solid blocks of things to make a model. And in a way, to me, it's a toy. It's not really a model, it's a toy. Some of them look pretty decent, but you know, I don't have a machine big enough to print this thing into one piece. And like I said, I don't really know if I'd want to print it in one piece. I'm really trying to make a model so that a modeler that likes to put this together would like to put it together, but yet it's not so complex. You know, it would be more or less skill 1, not skill 2 or skill 3, and so on and so forth. And so that means you have to have alignment tabs, and everything needs to fit together. But a really good model fits together good anyway. You shouldn't have to file and cut and drill and stuff to get these things together. So I'm going to keep plugging away on it, but I wanted to do an update video showing basically where I was at on the process. So this one, I think, is where I'm actually, let's see, this, I think, this was the one I was pulling out the engine section that I printed, I think. Let's see, I can't see the piece in there. Oh, this is my king. So this is the little king piece, and I still have to figure some stuff out on it because the supports on it, it came out like 85% good. And it came out better than the first one I did. The first one didn't really come out looking good at all. This one came out looking a lot better. But it's still, let's see if I can get it to where I can pause it. It's right up in the middle. Oh no, it's further up. So here's where you can kind of see the top. It didn't print part of the top, and the supports on the bottom was real crappy, and it didn't. It drained really good, but I don't like the way. And I tried to make these things where I print them straight up and down. They print so much better. But the little shape on the top, I'm either going to have to print that separate and make it plug down in there, or I'm going to have to figure out how to get the supports further spread out to where it'll print it as one piece, and then it just needs minimal sanding or cleaning. But yeah, I'm thinking this thing would pretty much print. When I was trying to print it straight up and down too, it was printing an inner plug in it that wasn't there, and I don't know why it was doing that. So this is closer, but I still need to figure out. Some way to get that, to get the shape. I just got to keep plugging away at it. Sometimes it takes 5 or 10 prints before you can figure out what it does. Now, what it did do, the first piece didn't have the little slots in the cross on top, but this one came out pretty good. But it also looked like it put extra material up there. So that was the king, and then that was. And I'm not going to bore you with too much of that. I just wanted to show some of the things. I definitely did some of the prints where, you know, I filmed a lot of it so I could edit it. And like I said, it really bugs me. I don't know when my microphone isn't working, and that's irritating the hell out of me because everything I said on these things, and then it's like you don't know what I said and stuff. And because I was demonstrating the machine. This is the M3 Max. And this will print about almost 1.5 feet straight up, and it's 9.5 by. It'll almost print 1 foot lengthways by 1.5 feet tall by about almost 9 this way. So if you can print something catty corner, you could print about 1.5 feet, almost by 1.5 feet, which is pretty dang decent for a chemical machine. This is the M3, the Anycubic M3. I really like this company. I bought these little filters. These are charcoal filters that you see inside here, and they suck the fumes up. The only issue we've ran in is this is a pretty well ventilated room, and so like when we're not printing and if I'm not draining these vats, then you have the same fumes. It's not really doing anything. But these come from Anycubic, $23 for the two of them. Shut that off. Those little filter machines. 4 replacement filters is $10 now, and the machine set you get 2 for $23. So that's not bad. So if you are in a little place where you have a lot of fumes and stuff, that's a really good investment. So anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Like I said, I wanted to get an update up. I am getting some progress going, which is really cool. And to give you an idea, this is the ship I'm making, and I'm printing it out in 1/200 scale, which is just over a foot long this way, give or take, and about a 1.5 feet wide this way. So you can see the Klingon D7 is going to come out just over about 3.5 feet, about 3 feet 9 inches. And when I get to the Constitution or the Enterprise, but I call it the Constitution class because I like to make the Constitution. You know, the whole world makes the Enterprise, and that's fine. If you want an Enterprise, you can decal it up, but I print it out as the Constitution. Anyways, this should be about 4 feet 4 inch, 4 feet 5 inch. So, in this scale, and this is the first scale I'm working with, is the 1/200 scale. I might move up into 1/100 or 1/100 scale. Might be something I'm doing later for custom orders or the sell the STL files. And the next thing I might do too on this, especially if I slice this top and bottom, is I might work in hangar bay, the little hangar bay, because I could put hangar bay doors where you could put the hangar bay doors on it and put the little bay down in there, whatnot. I don't know. I keep playing around with it, and I get the dimensions right, and I get the details right. Then we'll have some models to play with. And thank you so much for watching.